Just Roll With It is a journaling system to help you create new healthy habits, break bad habits, and really discover more about who you are as a person. And it blends our passion for fantasy role playing games with a self improvement journey. Let's get into this. Welcome to Solitary RPG. Just Roll With It is a self-improvement journaling system to help you develop good, healthy habits and make significant changes in your life. This product was developed and put out by Paradox Port, and I'm going to put a link to their website and also a link to their Kickstarter page. The product itself is already available for purchase on their website as a PDF, and you can print it out just like I did, and you can start using it today. The Kickstarter is to bring this product to life in an actual journal, to actually have journals printed that you can purchase. They're going to be A5 size so that you can actually, put them in your backpack or your purse or whatever you carry with you, and kind of take with you throughout your days so that it can actually become part of your daily routine. What we're going to do in this video is I'm going to talk about how the system works, my experience using the system, and just some of my general thoughts. So we're going to get started with day one. Up front, I'm just going to share with you and reiterate what the authors talk about in this system. So the authors are actual people that work in behavioral science. So they have knowledge on what they're talking about here. And they're going to tell you up front to take your time. This is your journey, and it's important that you don't rush through this and that you take your time and you truly understand everything that's going on, and also that you're comfortable along the way. When we start talking about self-improvement and start asking ourselves real questions, hard questions about who we are, what's our purpose, and what are we trying to accomplish in life, that can open up scars. And that can be a little too much for some people. So take your time. Make sure you're comfortable with what you're doing and the questions you're asking and the answers you're coming up with, and just word of caution. And before we move further, this product is in full color. It looks glorious. I've watched the preview clip-throughs on their Kickstarter page. I just printed mine all in black and white. I just did the cover in color because I wanted it to be flashy on the screen. The system is going to start with 3 days. You're going to have the first 3 days, and each day just read that section and move through the process. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of different components to this system, and they don't want to overwhelm you. So just start with day one, read the story, and go through the exercises that it provides. Each day is just going to give you a little bit more information about the system, so you're going to build on it slowly instead of being overwhelmed. One of the challenges with self-help books and self-help tools is it can be just an information dump, and it's too much too quickly, and people get really excited and then they fizzle out. Take your time. Go through this as a process. If you've watched my channel, you know I talk about the process of gaming and the process of life, and this is just a process. Go slow, really think about what you're doing, and make sure that you're giving yourself time to truly understand what's going on. First thing you need to do is develop your character that's going to be your person in your story. So this is linked to an RPG fantasy story. There is going to be combat. There is going to be actions that you're going to take. It's a really cool system of blending our game with self-improvement. But you need to ask yourself who you are and what is your calling. Your calling is going to be the foundation of this whole system, and is going to be the main subject that you want to focus on and the changes you want to make in your life. So you're going to have some information here. You're going to flip to page 22, and this is where you're going to pick your character type. So you're going to create a character just like an RPG, and you're going to look at the different characters: fighter, paladin, druid, wizard, bard, rogue, and monk. And each one of these will have a little bit of information. You'll get some traits, your HP, because your characters can die in this system. So you have HP, you have a skill. But the big thing are these recommended callings. And each character type is going to have a list of different callings that you're going to want to look at and decide if this is something you want to work on in your life. So for the fighter, strength, adventure, endurance, discipline, health. If you want to get fit, you want to build some muscle, you want to be more adventurous, you may want to be the fighter. And your calling is going to be the thing you're going to work on throughout this system. Each one's going to be a little bit different and have different callings that you can be inspired by and go, yeah, that's the one I want to work on. But take your time, don't rush. I've decided to be the monk. Moving forward in this video, I am going to expose some personal information. I'm going to be vulnerable and share information about me as a person, and it's the only way I can truly explain how the system works is by being vulnerable. I have chosen the monk because of balance. One of my behaviors in life is I dwell too much about the past. I dwell about things that I've said, things that I've done, bad purchases, bad decisions I make, and I dwell about these things. I also worry about the future. I worry about retirement. I worry about things breaking. I'm worried that things are going to happen that I have no control over. And because of that, my life is out of balance because I am not living in the moment. I am not enjoying life at the time that I'm living, and I'm worried too much about the past and the future, which are things I cannot control. So I want to create more balance in my life. I want to find stillness to where I can sit down and watch a television show and not sit there spinning in the negative feedback loop about things that I've done and things that haven't happened. So that is what my focus is going to be on. So I've taken my information here and I've filled out my character sheet. Character sheet is pretty simple. You're going to name your character. They're going to be part of your story. So you're going to name your character, what your calling is, what your class is, what your skill is. Keep track of certain items that you're finding along the way. Soul shards are something you're going to collect. So the world of Glimmerwood is full of darkness. To me, the darkness is a metaphor for our fear of making changes in our lives. And in this world, this darkness has taken over people. And part of your journey is to help these people find the light. And you're going to collect soul shards along the way as you're helping people. It's just all part of the narrative of the adventure your character is going to be on. So after you've completed your character sheet, you're going to go back to day one and you're going to start learning more about the journal pages and information that's going to be important for you to focus on as you're going through this journey. The journal pages, which make up the majority of this book, start on page 47, and this is what they look like. Day one is only going to provide you so much information. Day two is going to add to it, and day three will add to it. But I'm just going to kind of go through it all at once. Along the edges of your journal page, you're going to track your experience. Every 30 experience points is going to take you up a level. You're going to gain experience through the adventure along the way and also some of your daily routines, which we'll talk about. So that's how you're going to gain experience. This goes all the way up to level 11. Day one, you're going to start thinking about your calling. And every day when you work on a journal page, you're going to set some actions you're going to take that are going to lead towards your calling. So this is a very important thing. This is one of those activities I do in the morning time when I'm doing my morning journal, I stop and I think about, okay, this is my day. These are the things I have to do today. Like I've got to go to work and I've got to get certain things done at work. And what are some of the obstacles? What are some of my negative feedback loops at work that I need to get away from? Like think about your day, think about the things that you do and write about them and make actions that you can take to help you overcome those. And that's what this is about. For my first page, morning reading and journal. This is something that's important to me. I like to read books. I am currently reading The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. And what I'll do is I'll sit down in the morning with my cup of coffee. I'll read a section of the book. I will take an important passage from that, write it in my journal, and then how does this passage relate to me in my life? And I write about it. That's what I do. Think before you speak is something that I need to really have in my life. I will respond emotionally. Somebody says something, I just emotionally respond or trigger response. And those are the things I dwell about. I need to stop that. I need to think before I speak. So I wrote that down as one of my goals for that day. Something to focus on this day to reach my calling. Evening reflection and journal. Self-improvement is linked a lot to self-reflection. Sitting down in the evening time, reflecting about your day, reflecting about the things that you did, things that went well, things that went wrong, things you need to improve on, and writing about them in a journal. Successful people journal a lot because they express their ideas and they talk about their shortcomings and they're having honest conversations with themselves on paper. They're writing in a journal to really focus in on the places they need to improve on, things they need to work on in their lives. And that is what evening reflection and journaling is about. And it's a key element of this system is reflecting on your day. Did you take these actions, things that you're trying to accomplish? What are you working on? And you just want to write about them. So these actions are important and they're going to be related to resolve, which we're going to talk about later. Over here, exploring the realm, this is where you're going to track where you are on the map. And the map is right here, and you're going to learn all about the map on day 2. So we will talk about that then. Every journal page is going to ask you questions, and you're just going to respond to those questions. Just what are your thoughts, how things are going, what do you need to work on, what do you need to focus on. Here you're going to have adventure notes. This is where you're just going to talk about your adventures so far, people you're running into, things that are happening for you on your adventure. You're just going to write them down here. Not all of them are going to be adventure notes. Some of them are just going to be information encounters, different things, different activities, and some may ask you different questions. I haven't read them all, but the idea is this is your RPG element that you're going to be linking the game aspects to it. So down here, you're going to have your gold pieces, your hit points. Hit points are important. Your character in this journey can die. This is still an RPG. This is still a game. So just make sure you separate, because you're going to be doing a lot of self-improvement, a lot of self-reflection, but that is not your character. You are not your character. Your character is just the gaming element to this system. So your goal is to keep your character alive. Just don't link it to you. It's just part of the gaming element. But it's easy to keep your character alive as long as you're following the daily routines, which we will talk about. The next thing down here is your resolve. Resolve is important for combat in this system. You're going to learn how to gain and lose resolve on day 1, and you'll learn how to use the resolve on day 3. The way you gain or lose resolve is by accomplishing your daily actions. The actions you set out to accomplish on each particular day, if you accomplish them, you gain a point of resolve. It maxes out at 3. If you do not accomplish them, then you lose resolve. Routines, these are daily habits. These are things you want to be doing every day, such as, exercising and reflection and eating good meals and cleaning up messy areas in your life. So things you want to practice daily. This is how you gain HP to keep your character alive, and you also gain experience. can also gain experience by the different locations that you go to, encounters that you have, and side quests that you accomplish. And this is what you're going to be focusing on, are daily routines and actions. And these are going to help you accomplish your calling. So that's what you're going to learn about on day 1. And at the end of each day, you're going to have a mechanics summary that you can refer to in case something is on your journal and you're like, I forget what that was. You have a summary back here, and it's very helpful. Each day has its own summary. Plus, the publisher put in a quick start guide. You can also just refer to the quick start guide and just remember the things that you're doing on your journal page and kind of how the system works. On day 2 is going to be an information dump. You're going to get a lot of information on day 2. You may want to take a couple days to really absorb all the information. I'm going to do my best to try to walk through the process, but there's a lot of moving parts. But I just want to expose you to the different elements so that you kind of have an understanding of what they're trying to accomplish with this system. First, you're going to learn about how to move on the map. So this is the map of Glimmerwood. You can only move up, down, left, right. No diagonal movement in this system. You're going to notice, looking at the map, unfortunately mine's black and white. The colored one is gorgeous. But you're going to notice you're going to have some boxes that have a dark ring around them, and some boxes are not going to have a dark ring around them. If you go to a box that has a dark ring, you're going to refer to the cross-reference letters and numbers, and that's going to take you to an encounter page. You'll read that encounter page, whatever is going on in that area, resolve it, and move forward from there. It could be a combat. It could just be a regular, just a scenario encounter where maybe you find some information out or things like that. And anything you gain, you're going to write on your character sheet. Some of these lined boxes are going to have these symbols in them. And I have some of them highlighted because this is the journey for the monk. And these are going to be spells that you learn. So let's just say I'm here right now. I'm going to go to E3 next. So I go over to my encounter section, I find E3, and I read E3. Because it has a symbol in it, it tells me I'm going to find a scroll. That is what these symbols mean. So in E3, I'm going to find a scroll. The reason it's highlighted is it's linked to my monk, and I will explain that after we talk about the scroll. I read the narrative. In the end of the narrative, I'm going to gain some XP, plus I find the scroll of mindfulness. I go to the back of the book. I find the scroll of mindfulness. I read about the scroll of mindfulness. Now, this is where the behavioral science comes in. These scrolls, they're spells that you're learning, and this is really going to dive into factual information based from research and scientists, and there's going to be references. So if you find a particular scroll that just really is like, oh, I really want to work on this, you have reference information to refer to so that you can read books and find out more information. This stuff gets into the really heart of behavioral science and making changes. Not a lot of fluff back here. Facts, reference material, and you're going to want to take notes and pay attention to what's being read. So you're going to want to take some time with this. So that is what happens when you find a scroll. And then you're going to go to your Arcanum. This is where you're going to track your spells that you're learning. Each character type is going to be on a different journey looking for different spells. That's why you noticed I had some highlighted, because those are linked to the monk. So those are the ones I want to learn. When I learn my 4 spells they got like the little border going around them, I go from a novice to a journeyman. And when I complete 4 transmutation challenges, which we'll talk about in a second, I'll go from a journeyman to a master. So when I find my spell and I read about my spell and I learn about my spell, I've been highlighting them as I go. These spells are these larger circles and the actions that you have to take. So I learned about goal setting and I crafted a goal, so I've highlighted those. These little dots, these are your transmutation challenges, and you'll learn about transmutation challenges and this section here. And then over in this section, you'll take your spells, you'll take the important information, the information you thought was important through your reflection of reading about the spell, and make notes so that you have a quick reference to the particular spell that you've learned. And your transmutation challenges are going to be different for each spell, and you'll just read the section and take actions towards accomplishing those and tracking those on your chart of when you're accomplishing them, so that you can move from a novice to a master by accomplishing these spells and making them part of your life. I found the spell of purpose. I really had to take time to focus on what my purpose is, and the section gave me information about, feelings and helping others and how I become this person, and then I'm able to track my transmutation, and I've just been making notes. So this particular spell of purpose, let's talk about it. What did I take away from reading the information? So if we go back to the spell of purpose, this is the section I read. I highlighted some information. I took some notes. So that's the first thing you're going to do, and then you're going to kind of put them in this section here. 5-minute goals. Take small actions towards the person you want to be. Define what is important to you to become that person, and take actions that will move you in that direction. Remind yourself that you are that person and keep taking actions. So this is information I gleaned from the reading that I've done so far. 5-minute goals is something I learned about in Atomic Habits, which is part of the reference material in this system. If you want to develop new habits, if you just take 5 minutes a day and you work on that habit, eventually that 5 minutes turns into 10 minutes to 20 minutes, and then you start developing that as a daily routine and a habit that you're trying to accomplish. For me, it's just reminding myself to take actions, and that's why I wrote about that. A person is not remembered for the words that they said, but the actions they took. So this is what I took away from that. My transmutation challenges. First, the book talks about feelings. I am seeking stillness, no longer living in the past and worried about the future, living in the moment. So those are the feelings I'm working on for my challenge here. And how will this challenge help others? It will strengthen my relationship with others, giving them my full attention. So me learning stillness, learning to not worry about things, will help me strengthen my relationships, and becoming the person I want to be, no longer controlled by emotions. So this is what I'm working on with this particular spell that I learned. And when we accomplish one of these transmutation challenges, we gain a spot, and when we accomplish all 3 of these, we've completed that spell. And you track your transmutation challenges on your daily journal sheet. You got a little box here to write about them. So what I've done here is I actually went a little bit further on 3/22/25, the machine and me. I titled it, I wrote a little bit about it. So let's go to 3/22 and take a look at what was actually going on that day. My transmutation challenge for that day: don't allow the wash machine to take control of your emotions. It's just metal. So for me, that is what my transmutation challenge was for that particular day. What was going on? Like, this was a project I had to work on at my home. My wash machine, the transmission went out, and to have a repair person come over to fix it would have cost more than buying a new wash machine, which to me was just silly because the machine's only 2 years old. So I went out and ordered the parts, and my wife and I were going to work together to repair the wash machine. Had all my research done, I knew what I needed to do, set out to do it. and it didn't start out good. And that's why I reminded myself, it's just metal, it's just a machine. Don't let it take control of my emotions. Trying to get the nut off so that I could loosen the transmission from the tub wasn't working. I had to go out and buy a new socket, so I had to go to the store and buy a socket because I couldn't do it with a wrench. It wasn't working because the socket I bought needed a larger adapter for the socket wrench, so I had to go to a store again. So 2 trips to the store, still wasn't working. Smashed my finger with a hammer trying to hammer a wrench to loosen the bolt. Smashed my finger, and I was getting upset. I caught myself getting upset at a piece of metal, and I started making bad comments, negative comments. My wife's not helping, things like that. And then I remembered my transmutation challenge, that it's just a machine, shifted my mindset, went back home after my second trip to the store, made some jokes to my wife because she was picking up on my stress, made some jokes to my wife because what else are you going to do? It's just a piece of metal. Still couldn't get the bolt off, had to call a friend, leaned on my friend. He had an impact wrench, had everything I needed, took the bolt off. By the end of the day, we had the transmission replaced in the wash machine. Only cost me a third of what it would have cost, but it was this that helped me not let the machine take over my emotions, nuts and bolts and parts. And that's what this is all about. That's what transmutation challenges are. And that is what I marked here. And then I went on to my arcanum, and I gave myself a little, like, here you're supposed to channel your purpose 3 times to get your progress in that spell, and that's how this is all linked together. I know it's a lot of information, but that is kind of how the map works when you have these solid lines and you have these symbols as you're gaining spells. And for my monk, these are the spells that I need to gain. Obviously, you can tell most of the spells are up towards the top. Down here, you're not finding any spells because the purpose of this program or this journal is to get those spells in your hands as quickly as possible so that you can really start working on these transmutation challenges, because you'll have all the different spells on your character and you're going to be working on them daily. You know, you're going to notice some of these aren't highlighted, but you're still going to go through those squares. You can multi-class, and multi-class will let you work on all the spells, and that's what I am doing. I'm going to work on all the spells, and I'm just going to keep going. Now, the boxes that don't have the heavy line, these are possibly going to be side quests. Now, side quests are interesting. You're going to log the box you're going in, and if you have an encounter, you check the encounter. If you have a side quest, you check the side quest. In order to have a side quest, you're going to roll some dice. This game is going to require you to have a d20. On a side quest day, you roll the dice. If you roll a 7 or less, you have a side quest. You go to the side quest section of the book. There are 20 side quests. You can number these if you want. You could cut these out like cards if you want, and you can just have them as cards. As a Kickstarter, it'd be kind of cool if these were printed on an actual card. It'd be really neat. But you take these side quests. These side quests are going to be action-based. These are not theater of the mind side quests. You're going to physically do something on these side quests. Some of these side quests can be as simple as take a cold shower. Side quests are just going to be different actions that you're going to take. Some of these side quests may not work for you if you roll on a certain day and you know you're going to be at work late and things are going on, and you grab a side quest and be like, I might not, this might not work for me today. It's okay. Take the side quest, try to accomplish it the best you can. Work it into your journal page. Like, if you get a side quest and you're like, you know what, I really want to make sure this happens, make it one of your actions for your pursuing your calling. I'm going to get this side quest done. I'm going to make it an action. If you don't get it done because you made it an action, you may lose your resolve. Okay. But you're working towards accomplishing these side quests. Some of these may not work out for you at all based on where you live. So you need to be kind of mindful, read over the side quests. If there's one you just know, like some of them might be sign up for a class that you're interested in, but what you're interested in, there's no classes in your local area. Maybe you live in a small town, something like that. It may not work for you. You may have to change that side quest to maybe do something different, like go online and sign up for an online class, depending on what you're interested in. or you're just not going to be able to do that side quest and you may want to choose a different one. So that was movement, side quest, encounters, spells, a lot of information in there about your arcanum, learning those spells. Day 2, just it's an information dump. Day 3, this is where we're going to start learning about the daily routine. So I showed you those here on your journal sheet. You have the symbols here. The little book is reflecting, journaling and writing, and you gain experience for that. The little sword is training, taking physical activities. The little camp, set up camp, take care of yourself, take care of your setting, take care of your living space, clean up after yourself. Having a clean desk is always important for decluttering the mind. Declutter your screens. Oh my gosh, how many people have like 20 different tabs open on their web browser and they have a screen just full of folders and things. Like, clear that stuff up, clear your desk off, stuff like that. Prepare meals, eat whole foods, eat healthy. That's important. And then get enough sleep. Turn off the TV at night, get rid of the screen time before bed, do all the things so that you can get a good night's sleep. That is what your daily goals should be, and that's what this symbol means. So when you're accomplishing these, you're gaining HP and XP. This is how you keep your character alive. You take action, you gain HP, you keep your character alive. It's important. You may need to reinterpret these to fit your life. For me, I already journal in the morning when I read, and now I've added in the just roll with it journal. I also keep a 5-year journal. That's my evening reflection. When at the end of my day, I go into my library, I sit down, no screen, no TV, no nothing. I think about my day and I take a little bit of time to write in a 5-year journal, a couple sentences, nothing too long and lengthy, just about things that went well. I try to focus on things that went well for me, but unfortunately, there are sometimes I need to write about things that didn't go well. But that is what I keep a 5-year journal for, is my self-reflection. Here for my training, in order for me to accomplish the training, I need to hit my treadmill. I run and walk on a treadmill on a regular basis. My goal is to drop 10 pounds, so this is important for me. So I need to hit that treadmill every day, trying to get exercise. For what I do, I sit in a vehicle a lot, and then I have moments of excitement, and then I go back to sitting and I have nothing. It's really bad for your heart, that adrenaline dump like that. So walking on the treadmill at the end of the day helps me get my heart rate up, get it up, keep it steady for a long period of time. And then I do 2 miles on the treadmill at a steep incline when I walk, or I run 2 miles at a pretty good clip. So that's important. Take care of my camp, set up camp. Be an adult, clean up after yourself. Clean up after others if you have to, because some people are just slobs. But for me, I need to clean up my hobby room. It's a disaster. So this is, I'm only going to get a point in here if I actually take the time to clean up my hobby room. And this is actually one of your side quests. I actually got that one and I failed it. It happens. Prepare meals. I already eat healthy. My wife and I try to eat whole foods on a regular basis. We do more cooking at home than we do at restaurants. And when we do go out to restaurants, we try to eat at higher end restaurants, no McDonald's and fast food places where the food is so over processed it's really not even food anymore. We try to eat at scratch kitchens and places like that. But what's important for me here is fasting. I am this month in March moved my fasting from 16 hours to 18 hours. So that became more of my prepared meal goal, is reaching my 18-hour fast every day. So important. Then you have sleep, just getting a good night's sleep. Sometimes I toss and turn at night. If I have one of those nights, I don't gain that HP for that, but I do have a pretty good regimen of going to bed at a certain time, waking up at a certain time, no screen time before bed, no TVs on, none of that stuff. I want to get that good night's sleep. When I hit the bed, I'm out, because I have exhausted myself doing everything that I've had to do for the day and push myself to accomplishing all of my daily habits and my goals. So that way I get a good night's sleep. And I try to break any of the negative feedback loops I'm having before I go to bed by distractions. I go to read a book, so that way I'm not thinking about bad things, and I'm doing little tools and techniques to help me clear my head, so that way when I go to sleep, I'm at peace and I just fall asleep. So this is what you're going to learn about on day 3. Then you're actually going to go through the process. It's going to have you move around the map, and you're going to have an encounter. It's going to explain how combat works. Whenever you have a combat, each combat's going to have a chart. You can only fight something that you have the resolve if you're at the same level of resolve or they're at a lower level of resolve than you. You can't fight anything that has a higher level of resolve than you. So you only have a max of 3. So it's important that you're working on those daily actions, keeping your resolve up, so that way you can fight the encounters along the way. But this is just cross-referencing your level, the challenger's level. So it list everything here. So this first one, we're level 1, you need to roll a 10 or better. If you fail the roll, then they do 2 points of damage to you. Just that simple. If you have something at a higher resolve level than you, then you have to flee and you take some damage. It's the game mechanics. It's really kind of cool. And then you're going to have a summary, and then we get into the quick start rules. There's just a lot going on in this journaling system, this self-improvement tool to really help you develop new habits and break bad habits and have a little bit of fun along the way. Self-improvement can be scary. That's the darkness we talk about in Glimmerwood. It's not something everybody can just read a book and be happy about and just make things work. And being fake positive, thinking the world is great and everybody's wonderful, that doesn't work. Self-improvement is fact-based. You need to really look at your life and really ask yourself tough questions. And that's why reflection is important. That's why journaling is important. And that is what I've taken away from here. First, how am I running through the map? So the first couple days you're going to be up in this area, and then I want to hit all 104 squares. So I am just running through the map in such a way that I can hit all 104 squares just in a pattern like that. I've got a light pencil mark that shows it, but I want to end there. That's my goal. You can do whatever you want. You can just focus on getting your spells so that you can continue on with your journey. Strictly up to you. The Arcanum is important because these are the things you want to focus on. I'm going to eventually multi-class and have all of the Arcanums just to see what happens. Like, I'm just really exploring and enjoying this journey so far. And I want to work on all these different spells and really just take time to improve my system. Like, I already have a journaling system in my life, and I think it's important to always explore other journaling systems because you never know what you can pick up on that can help you with your system. There's little things in here that I am picking up on that I can incorporate into my journaling system, mainly the transmutation challenges. Looking at my day, looking at the obstacles I already know I have to face, knowing where my shortcomings are, and making little notes in a journal about how to overcome those, and remembering those notes. Like, when you physically write something down, the chances of memory is improved. That's something behavioral science has documented time and time again. So writing some of this information down, that way when those obstacles occur in my life, I'm prepared, I've recognized them, I've come up with an action plan to overcome them and move forward. So that's a big part of what I'm taking away from this. I'm also adding the time that I'm doing these things. Like this day, it was 3:54 a.m. when I was writing in my journal. I get up super stupid early at like 3:30 in the morning because one of the habits that's important to me, and this is what you're going to learn going through this system, is recognizing what's important to you, finding time. This is all about the goal setting, finding time to do it, and taking actions towards it. To me, reading and journaling is important. I start work kind of early, so I get up earlier, and I take that time when my mind is still because I haven't had all of the stimulus from life yet, and I read whatever book I'm reading, and I reflect in my journal. And now I've started doing the Just Roll With It journal as well, and moving in that direction. So that is what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to develop these new habits, figure out when you're going to put these habits into your life, and start moving in that direction. So that's why I started tracking the time just as a personal thing. So just going through it, I started taking some notes, some observations I've had. So paper quality for this Kickstarter project is going to be important because, as you can tell, I started using red ink to track my experience. So what I'm doing is I'm just going the day before, I'm gaining some experience, and then the next day I just mark where I left off, and then I just gain some more experience as I go. So page quality is going to be important for people that like to use different colors of inks and highlighters and things like that, that it doesn't bleed through. So that was something I think is important. There's some editing issues here and there, nothing too major. But one of the things I noticed, this is a cut line, and I noticed the cut lines were on the other side. So I will be sending an email to the publisher, highlighting some of the edits that I have found with the PDF that they sent to me. The routines, so when we were looking at the habits here, the daily habits, you're going to have to define what those routines are for you and how they work in your life, because some of these things may already be part of your daily routine. So you may want to set something new for those daily routines to make them work for you. One of the things, a suggestion to the creators, is putting page numbers in. So like one of the things, the Phoenix Rising, which is on page 139, this is what happens when your character dies in the game. You go through these steps and you can bring your character back. There should be reference to page numbers, either in the actual text or in the summary. Refer to the page numbers to the different elements of this system. I know it's a little bit more reformatting and things, but that's very helpful when you're reading. And my final thoughts for Just Roll With It. I really like what Paradox Port created here. I think this is a great way of blending our passion for fantasy role playing with self improvement. Is this for everybody? Probably not. Everybody has their own thoughts about self improvement, what they want to work on. But everybody can benefit from generating new habits in their lives. And I think if you just approach this for creating some new healthy habits in your life, you're still going to benefit from the way the system is set up. As I said before, if you want to go to their website, you can go to their website. You can download this as a PDF now, and you can spiral bound it and start using this journal right away. I just think this is a great tool for people that want to develop new habits and make serious changes in their life and really become the hero of their own story. So thank you for watching and have a great day. Bye.